Greetings. My name is Reverend Gift Mtukwa, and I'm the one taking you Christian ethics. Welcome to week 5 of our class session. This week we're going to be looking at the philosophical foundations of ethics, and we're going to look at three major divisions in ethics. The first one being deontology. Deontology deals with the question of rules. The second one is consequentialism, which deals with the question of results. The third one is virtue ethics, which deals with the question of character. So right there you have the philosophical foundations of ethics. Ethics is either looked at from the perspective of rules, which is deontology, from the perspective of results, which is consequentialism, from the perspective of virtue ethics, which is character. In this class, in this session, in this week, we are primarily going to be focusing on the two, deontology and consequentialism. All the other theories have their foundations in these two divisions or approaches. Consequentialism. Consequentialism is an approach to moral decision making that bases the rightness or wrongness of an action solely based on the consequences of performing it. So consequentialism looks at the end result. And if the end result is good, then that action is deemed to be good. The consequentialists, the people who make decisions based on consequentialism, they seek to determine all the available alternatives. They evaluate which is the best alternative, and then they make a decision based on that. There are three crucial points about consequentialism. The first one being that consequentialism, actions have no intrinsic value. That's to say that when an action is committed, by itself, you cannot judge it to be either right or wrong. An action can only be right and wrong based on the results that it produces. The second one is that consequentialism tends to be a situation ethic. A particular action can be right in a particular situation and can be wrong in a particular situation. The third one is that the end justifies the means. So it doesn't matter what one does. What matters is whether or not the end is good. So the end justifies the means. There are two major types of consequentialism. The first one is egoism, ethical egoism. The second one is utilitarianism. Egoism looks at decisions being made for the person making the decision. So ego comes from the Greek word, is the Greek word for I. So it's the theory that says decisions must be made based on the interests of the person making the decisions. This is what we call universal ethical egoism, which says everybody should act in his own self-interest regardless of the interests of others, unless the interests of others serve his. So that's egoism. Utilitarianism, on the other hand, looks at the majority. It looks at the many people. So it says the greatest good for the greatest number of people concerned. So that's the theory. Those are the two major types. And so on one end, you need to be able to evaluate this theory from a Christian perspective, whether or not it says it's the person making the decisions who must make decisions based on their self-interest. Is that Christian? And that's a question we want to explore also this week. When we make decisions for the majority, does it mean that the minority do not matter? So those are questions that we need to explore. Let me conclude this brief overview by talking a little bit about deontology. Deontology comes from the Greek word dion, which means duty, and it postulates that there are duties that we have, and we are naturally inclined to follow those duties. But the question then becomes, if you say we follow rules, which rules do we follow? Whose rules do we follow? Because we live in a pluralistic society. If, as a Christian, I can say, well, we follow the rules that we have in the Bible. But a Muslim is going to come and say, well, no, that's not the rules. We should follow the Quran, the rules in the Quran. And so in a pluralistic society, deontology does not tell us which rules we should follow. And the other question is, what happens when these rules come into conflict with one another? How do we resolve the conflict? If I have a duty to, for example, tell the truth, but I also have the duty to save life, and the two come into conflict, what should I do? Well, there are three ways that have been devised to deal with this issue. One They are those who are non-conflicting absolutists. These, they say that rules never conflict because they are a reflection of the character of God, and because God is holy, he cannot contradict himself. So they deny that there are any conflict. But you and me know that in real life, we face conflicts. People face conflicts in the battlefield, people face conflicts in the classroom, people face conflicts in the hospital. Conflicts, we see them every time. And sometimes people have to choose between those conflicts, and so that's reality. The second one is conflicting absolutism, which says that absolutes do conflict, but when they conflict, one must choose the lesser evil. But even if you choose the lesser evil, you're still guilty of breaking God's law, so you must ask for forgiveness. So that's to say that anytime that one faces a moral dilemma, they sin. The third one is graded hierarchy of absolutism, which says that absolutes are in a hierarchy, and there are higher and lower moral laws, and one is obligated to follow the higher moral laws without necessarily following the lower moral laws. So, in my opinion, graded hierarchy of absolutism seems to be the most satisfactory type of absolutism, in that one does not need to beat themselves to death for having not obeyed one of the laws by choosing a higher one. Well, that's it for this week. I look forward to seeing your interactions in class, and we are going to have an ethical scenario in this week, and you are going to respond to that scenario based on these theories, and offer the positions that these theorists will offer to that ethical scenario. Wish you well. See you in class. God bless you. Have a good week. Thank you.